You're not polite. You're afraid of confrontation. Politeness often looks like virtue, but in reality, it's usually fear disguised as manners, the fear of tension, the fear of disapproval, the fear of losing acceptance, and manipulators recognize this instantly. They study polite people the same way predators study hesitation, because the person who avoids conflict is the easiest person to control. Machiavelli understood something most people refuse to admit. Kindness without control invites exploitation. The world quietly tests everyone, every conversation, every boundary, every reaction, and if you respond with automatic politeness, you signal something dangerous. Your limits can be pushed. There are 7 moments where politeness quietly destroys your leverage. Moments where staying nice slowly erodes your authority. By the end of this, you will not think about politeness the same way again. Because power does not come from aggression, it comes from precision. And precision means knowing when restraint ends and ruthlessness begins. Situation 1. When someone disrespects you publicly. Most people laugh it off. A co-worker makes a sarcastic remark about you during a meeting. Everyone chuckles. You smile to keep things comfortable. In that moment, something invisible happens. Status shifts. Human beings constantly read social hierarchies. Public humor often works as a dominance probe. If you absorb the joke silently, your brain may think you're avoiding conflict, but the room interprets it differently. They interpret tolerance as weakness. Psychologically, this happens because people evaluate confidence through reactions. Calm correction signals stability. Passive laughter signals submission. The consequence is subtle but powerful. Your authority erodes in small increments. The strategic response is not aggression, it's control. Calmly pause. Ask a simple question. What exactly do you mean by that? Silence follows. The room recalibrates. You just shifted the dynamic from target to observer. This is the first identity shift. Approval seeker to status protector. Situation 2. When someone wastes your time. Polite people tolerate endless small requests. Can you help with something quickly? 5 minutes becomes 30. This repeats every day. At first it seems harmless, but psychology reveals a powerful mechanism called the availability effect. The more accessible you appear, the less valuable people perceive you to be. Scarcity creates value, and limited access destroys it. People don't intentionally exploit this. Most simply respond to what behavior allows. If you constantly prioritize others' small problems, you train the environment to treat your time as disposable. The consequence is not just lost minutes. It is lost authority. Decision makers protect time. Problem absorbers donate it. The strategic correction is simple and calm. I can't help with this today. No long explanation. No apology. Control your time. Control your leverage. Power begins with protecting attention. Situation 3. When someone tries to manipulate your emotions. Emotional provocation is one of the oldest control tactics. Someone criticizes you sharply. Someone mocks your work. Someone pushes a personal button. Most people react instantly. They defend. They explain. They escalate. But reaction is a leash. The moment someone can trigger you emotionally, they gain influence over your behavior. Psychologically, this works because the brain prioritizes emotional threats over rational analysis. It is a survival reflex. Manipulators exploit this reflex. They provoke reactions to study your vulnerabilities. If anger appears quickly, they know exactly where to press next time. The strategic move is not suppression. It is delay. Pause. Observe. Let silence create space. Silence is not weakness. Silence is control. When you don't react, you break the manipulation loop. Comment one thing. If you understand this shift, I control my reactions, because the moment your emotions become disciplined, manipulation loses its leverage. If you're building a mind that cannot be easily provoked, subscribe to Illu Codex. This channel exists for people training strategic control. Situation 4. When someone tests your boundaries. Boundary violations rarely appear dramatically. They begin small. A friend repeatedly cancels plans but expects you available whenever they call. A colleague borrows resources without asking. These are not accidents. They are calibration tests. Human beings constantly measure how far they can push limits. If resistance never appears, the brain concludes there is no boundary. The result is predictable. Respect quietly disappears, not because people are evil, but because behavior teaches expectations. Polite tolerance sends the signal that your limits are flexible. Strategic correction must be simple and direct. That doesn't work for me. No emotional charge, no defensive speech, just clarity. This is the identity shift from passive tolerance to boundary authority. Respect does not grow from kindness alone. It grows from clearly enforced limits. Situation 5. When someone betrays your trust. Many people believe quick forgiveness makes them morally strong. A friend shares private information. They apologize. The tension dissolves. But psychology shows something important. Apology reduces social discomfort, not behavioral probability. People apologize because it resets emotional pressure. It does not guarantee change. If patterns repeat and access remains the same, the behavior continues. This is called the trust exploitation cycle. Forgiveness without consequence trains people that betrayal carries no cost. The strategic response is not revenge. It is control distance, reduce access, limit information, adjust proximity. Machiavelli once observed that loyalty built only on emotion is fragile. Loyalty reinforced through consequence becomes stable. The identity shift here is subtle but powerful. Forgiving victim to selective strategist. Most people only recognize situation 6 after real damage occurs. Situation 6. When someone challenges your reputation. Reputation is social currency. It shapes opportunities before you even enter the room. Imagine a rumor spreading at work. Someone quietly questions your competence. You ignore it, believing silence avoids drama. But narratives operate differently. Human memory favors repeated stories over verified facts. This is the psychology of narrative reinforcement. When a claim circulates unchallenged, it slowly becomes accepted reality. Silence can sometimes show strength, but when reputation is attacked directly, silence may signal admission. The strategic response is calm correction. Address the claim briefly. Clarify the facts. Then move forward. No emotional defense. No long argument. Just clarity. Comment something honestly. Have you ever realized someone was quietly using politeness against you? Awareness is the beginning of control. Situation 7 is the most important when your future is on the line. Major decisions expose the deepest trap of politeness. Career choices, relationships, opportunities. In these moments, people often prioritize approval over outcomes. The psychological mechanism here is loss aversion. The brain fears disappointing others more than losing personal potential. So people stay in environments that limit them. They maintain relationships that drain them. They accept roles that shrink their ambitions. Politeness becomes self-sabotage. Strategic thinking reverses this. Long-term outcomes outweigh short-term approval. The controlled mind evaluates decisions through consequence, not comfort. Sometimes the most respectful action toward your future is ruthless clarity today. This is the final identity shift, approval seeker to strategic decision maker. Now return to the beginning. You were taught that politeness always equals virtue, but politeness without boundaries becomes surrender. The world does not reward unlimited tolerance. It rewards controlled strength. Machiavelli wrote that people judge more by what they see than what they know. What they see is your reactions, your limits, your discipline. When those signals show control, respect follows. Ruthlessness does not mean cruelty. It means precision, knowing when silence is protection, knowing when correction is necessary, knowing when distance is the only intelligent response. Polite people react to maintain comfort. Strategists act to maintain power. If this message resonated, write one final commitment in the comments: I move with precision. And if you're building a disciplined mind that refuses manipulation, subscribe to Ilu Codex. Because in a world full of emotional reactions, the most dangerous advantage is controlled silence.